Hello everyone, welcome to the video tutorial series of the operating system. I am your instructor Varshata. Let's start our lecture series. So at the end of this video, you will be able to learn about the deadlock recovery. Till now we have discussed deadlock detection, deadlock avoidance, deadlock prevention. Okay, so now we will see the deadlock recovery. So let's start with the recovery from the deadlock. What we can do? When a detection algorithm determines that a deadlock exists, several alternatives are there. Okay, so when detection algorithm, in last lecture we have seen the detection algorithm. In detection algorithm we have seen if there is a single response instance that we can detect using the resource allocation graph, and if there are the multiple instances that we can detect using the safety algorithms. Okay, so that if we are able to detect the algorithm, we are able to detect the deadlock using the algorithm. So there are numbers of possibility to recover from the deadlock. One possibility is what? One possibility is that to inform the operator that deadlock has occurred and deadlock will be recovered manually. And other possibility is what the operating the other possibility is what the let the operating system to recover from the deadlock automatically. These are the possibilities. Now there are two options to breaking the deadlock. How we are able to break the deadlock in the system? Okay, so one is simply to abort one or more process to break the circular wait. Okay, so just break the circular wait. So abort one or more processes, so circular wait will be break and deadlock will be break. And another possibility is what to preempt the some resources from one or more of the deadlock processes and assign that resources to the any other process whatever that resource is needed by that particular process, so that that process will complete its execution and it will release all the resources whatever held it by at that process and the newly assigned resources. So that resources we can assign to the new processes and we can fulfill the need of each and every process, so there is no deadlock in the system. Okay, so let's see the example of the process P1 and P2. In that we have seen the process P1 is holding the resource R1 and it's want the resource R2. Same way for the process P2. Okay, process P2 has holded the resource R2 and it is wanting the resource R1. Okay, so there is a circular wait in that particular scenario. So at that time what we can do? Either you abort the process P1 or P2, or you can preempt the resource from process P1 or process P2. So you can fulfill the need of the either one, either aborting one or either preempting the resource from that particular process. So we can avoid the deadlock. Now to eliminate the deadlock by aborting a process, we use one of the two methods. Okay, in this method the system reclaims all the resources allocated to the terminated processes. Okay, so abort all the deadlock processes. This method clearly will break the deadlock cycle. Okay, but what will happen? But at the great expense. There are many costs will be there. Process may hold more resources. Process may have completed the much more tasks. Just some task is remaining to complete its executions. So there is a great expense. The deadlock process may have computed for a long time, and the result of this partial computation must be discarded and probably will have to be recomputed later. So again the process have to start from the first point and again the recomputation will be started. Okay, and second point is what? Abort one process at a time until the deadlock cycle is eliminated. Okay, so in last scenario we are aborting all the process. In this scenario we are aborting the process one by one. Okay, so this method incurs considerably overhead, since after each process is aborted, a deadlock detection algorithm must be invoked to determine whether any process is still in the deadlock state or not. So every time we have to check. After aborting the one process, we have to check, is there any deadlock? Again, after aborting the one process, we have to check, is there any deadlock? Got it? So aborting a process may not be easy. Okay, aborting the process may not be easy. Why? Because if the process was in the midst of the updating a file, the terminating it will leave the file in the incorrect text. Okay, so aborting the process is always not easy. For example, printer is printing some document, and if we are aborting that particular process, so that will be in the inconsistent state. So let's see here, for example, if the process was in the midst of the printing data on a printer, the system must reset the printer to correct the state before printing the next job. Okay, so if the partial termination method is used, then we must determine which deadlock processes should be terminated. Okay, so we have to determine which process should be terminated, so we can avoid the break the deadlock. This determination policy decision is similar to the CPU scheduling decisions. Okay, so this determination policy is similar to CPU scheduling. All of you will report the CPU scheduling that we have discussed for the round robin, FCFS, etc. Okay, so whatever the CPU scheduling policy is that is similar in this determination policy to determine which process should be aborted. Now the question is basically an economic one. Why? We should abort these processes whose termination will incur the minimum cost. Okay, we should have to abort the process which termination should be the minimum cost. That we have to take in mind every time when we are going to abort the process. Okay, so unfortunately the term minimum cost is not the precise one. So which are the points that is considered over here? So many factors that affect when we choose any process for the aborting. So first point is what the priority of the process is. Okay, we have to see what is the priority of that process. Then how long the process has computed and how much longer the process will compute before the completing its designated task. Okay, so this is the second factor that we have to consider. Then third is what? How many and what type of resources the process has used. For example, whether the resources are simple to preempt. Okay, if printer is assigned, we are not able to preempt the resources, because if we preempt the printer, that will lead to the inconsistent state. Okay, so again we have to check which type of resources is holded by the process, whether it is a preemptive or whether it is a non-preemptive. How many more resources the process need in order to complete. Okay, how many more resources will be acquired by the process to complete its execution. Okay, then again that factor is we have to take in mind. Then 5 is how many process will need to be terminated. Okay, and whether the process is interactive or batch process. So these are the some factors that we have to take in mind while we are choosing the process for the aborting or for the rollback, etc. Now, resource preemption. Okay, so to eliminate the deadlock using the resource preemption, we successively preempt some resources from the process and give these resources to the other process until the deadlock cycle is broken. So, as we have taken the example of the process P1 and P1 and P2, and there is a resource R1 and R2. So, you have to preempt the resource from the either from the P1 or either from the P2. Assign to any of the process, so any of the process will complete its task. Then assign the same resource to the another process and it will complete its task. So if preemption is required to deal with the deadlock, then 3 issues need to be addressed, which are selecting a victim, rollback, and starvation. Okay, so if resource preemption is there, then 3 issues are there. Selecting a victim, which process will be selected as a victim, and from which point we have to roll back, and starvation. So let's see in detail. So first of all, selecting a victim. Okay, so we must determine which resource and which process are be preempted, which processes are to be preempted, and also the order to the minimize cost. Okay, so in last two slide we have seen the cost affecting factors. So that factors we have to take in mind when we are selecting a victim process for the aborting. Now, cost factors may include such parameter as the numbers of resources at deadlock process is holding and the amount of the time the process thus far consumed. Okay, so this cost factor also includes such parameters. Okay, so we have to select the victim process. Now rollback. Rollback, that means what? Up to which state we have to roll back that particular process. Okay, if we preempt the resource from the process, what should be done with that process? Okay, so if we are selecting a victim, what should be done with that particular process? From to which point that process should be aborted. If there is any checkpoint is that, so to that particular checkpoint we can roll back that particular process. So clearly it cannot continue with its normal execution. If we are selecting the victim process, it is clear that we cannot continue with the normal execution. Okay, so it is missing some data resources. We must roll back the process to some safe state and restart it from the safe state. So we have to roll back that particular process to the safe state, and again we have to restart. Since in general it is difficult to determine what is the safe state. Okay, we have to determine what is the safe state. The simplest solution is what? Total rollback. Okay, so it is difficult to determine what is safe state. So simple solution is what? Rollback entire process, abort the process and then restart it. Okay, although it is more effective to roll back the process only as for a necessary to break the deadlock, this method requires the system to keep the more information about the state of the all the running process. Okay, we have to check the state of the each and every process in the system. Okay, which process is active, which process is blocked, so that everything should be handled by the process that we have seen in the process control block. So every information should be determined in the process control block when we are going to do the rollback of any processes. Now next is a starvation. So in a system, it may happen that some process is always picked as a victim. It may be according to the low priority. Suppose we are following the low priority criteria. So the process which has the low priority will always select as a victim, and every time this process will not get a chance to enter in the critical section or chance to get the execution. So at that time this process will always selected as a victim. So every time this process have to start. So this is what the starvation, as it is here as written, that as a result that process will never complete its designated task, and the situation is called the starvation, and this must be avoided. So what is the solution for this? One solution is that a process must be picked as a victim only as a finite numbers of time. Okay. So one solution is what we can select a particular process as a victim for some number. For example, for 5 times we can select that process as a victim. And if 5 times we have selected the same process, then what we can do? We are not able to select that particular process as a victim. Now we have to select the another process as a victim. Okay, or another solution is what? You can increase the priority if you are following the priority based decisions. So every time when the process has selected as a victim, we will increase the priority by 25%. Okay, 0.25%. So every time it increase the priority, and when its priority becomes high, that process will get chance for the execution. Okay, so this is the scenario in the starvation. Okay, so in this video we have learned the deadlock recovery. So till now we have discussed deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance, detection and recovery. Okay. So in this unit we have discussed what is deadlock. Okay, so all of you are about now what is deadlock. Deadlock, that means what? When the process are not able to complete its task, we can say they are in the deadlock state. Okay, and then we have seen the conditions that lead to deadlock, for example mutual exclusions, then we have seen the circular wait, okay, no preemption condition, etc. We have seen the condition, 4 necessary conditions for the deadlock. Then we have seen the methods for handling the deadlock. So there are 4 methods for handling the deadlock that we have discussed. First we have discussed the deadlock prevention, that means disallow one of the 4 necessary conditions for the deadlock. Then we have discussed the deadlock avoidance. So in deadlock avoidance, what we have done, do not grant the resource request if these allocations have potential to lead to the deadlock. Okay, so we will not grant the request. If we are granting the request, that will lead to the deadlock state. And we have determined the safe and unsafe state, and then we have learned about the Banker's algorithm. Okay, and last lecture we have discussed about the deadlock detections, in which we have discussed the safety algorithm that is similar to the Banker's algorithm. There is a minor change in it. So if you will learn the Banker's algorithm, you are able to remember the safety algorithm. In safety algorithm, in deadlock detection, always grant a resource request when it is possible. Okay, so periodically check for the deadlock. If deadlock exists, then recover from it. So at the time it will use the recovery technique. So in deadlock recovery, what is that? The preempt the resource or rollback to the save state. Okay, so this process we have to follow, the solutions we have to follow when there is a deadlock in the system. Okay, so we are ending this unit today. Okay, so thanks for watching. In next lecture, we will meet with the new unit. Thank you.